Hello and welcome. This is Notibot ENG. Tonight, we bring you a recap of the latest developments in global politics and international relations. A tense standoff in the Strait of Hormuz has left thousands of seafarers stranded on cargo ships, while Russia's UN ambassador has made provocative claims about Iran's role in the region. We'll also explore a proposal from Iran to Trump that may be delaying nuclear talks and what this means for global stability. Stay with us as we break down these key stories and provide context on the implications of each. We're now taking a closer look at rising tensions in the Middle East, where Russia's UN ambassador has sparked controversy with a provocative statement. Russia's UN ambassador Vasily Nebenzia has sparked controversy by stating that Iran can restrict navigation in the Strait of Hormuz during conflict. This assertion was made at a recent meeting of the UN Security Council, where Nebenzia accused Western countries of hypocrisy in blaming Tehran for disruptions to maritime traffic. Nebenzia cited international law, arguing that a coastal state under attack may limit navigation in its territorial waters for security reasons. He claimed this right is enshrined in the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. Iran's government has long been wary of Western powers and their military presence in the region. The Strait of Hormuz, a vital waterway connecting the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea, is a key shipping route. Any disruption to its navigation could have significant economic implications for global trade. The United States, in particular, has a strategic interest in maintaining access to this waterway. Nebenzia's statement has been widely condemned by Western governments, who argue that it justifies Iran's actions and ignores the principle of freedom of navigation. This is a sensitive issue, with Russia having close ties to Iran and the United States maintaining a significant military presence in the region. The UN Security Council's response will be closely watched as the world waits to see how this controversy unfolds. The implications for global stability are clear. Any attempt by Iran to restrict Hormuz traffic could have far-reaching consequences for international relations. Following reports that tensions between Iran and the United States are escalating, a new development has emerged in the region's complex web of diplomatic efforts. President Donald Trump has presented Iran with a proposal to open the Strait of Hormuz, but has delayed nuclear talks amid a standoff over the waterway and surging energy prices. In a statement, Trump urged Tehran to phone when it wants a deal, after scrapping a planned trip by his envoys that left face-to-face diplomacy at an impasse. The move comes as Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow, where he accused the U.S. of making excessive demands and adopting an incorrect approach. Araghchi, who stood up to the American delegation, said that Russia would do everything to support Iran's interests in the region. Trump's decision to cancel his envoy's trip to Pakistan was reportedly made due to a failed round of direct talks with Israel in Islamabad. The two sides remain at odds over core demands, despite Trump's last week extending an indefinite ceasefire in the war he launched alongside Israel 2 months ago. The Strait of Hormuz, which connects the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman, is a vital waterway for global oil supplies. The U.S. and Iran have been locked in a standoff since January 2020, when a U.S. drone strike killed top Iranian military commander Qasem Soleimani. Energy prices surged again on Monday due to concerns over the situation. With no clear end in sight to the crisis, the proposal from Trump's administration remains to be seen as a potential lifeline for negotiations with Iran. The delay has raised questions about the prospects of a nuclear deal and whether the U.S. is willing to compromise to achieve it. Meanwhile, a tense standoff in the Strait of Hormuz has left thousands of sailors at sea, with their livelihoods hanging precariously in the balance. The Strait of Hormuz has become a major flashpoint in global politics after Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, threatened to target U.S. Navy warships and oil tankers passing through the strategic waterway. The tensions escalated when a British tanker, the Sirius Star, was seized by Iranian forces last week, sparking international condemnation. The situation took a turn for the worse on Tuesday when Iran said it had fired missiles at 2 U.S. naval vessels in the area, drawing fierce retaliation from Washington. The incident has left thousands of seafarers stranded on cargo ships waiting to pass through the strait, which is a vital artery for global oil and gas trade. The United States has warned all private companies operating in the region to be prepared for an attack, while Iran's IRGC vowed to continue its campaign against Western interests. The British government has pledged to protect its citizens, with Prime Minister Boris Johnson vowing to defend our people if necessary. The standoff is a major concern for global energy markets, with oil prices soaring in the wake of the Iranian threat. As the situation continues to unfold, the world watches with bated breath as tensions between the U.S. and Iran come to a head in one of the most sensitive regions on Earth. The fate of thousands of seafarers hangs precariously in the balance, as the world waits to see how this crisis will be resolved. Moving from oil to air, a significant shift has taken place in global energy markets as Iran cuts off its gas exports to Europe. The United States and Iran's weeks-long war has finally come to an end with the establishment of a ceasefire, but the economic disruptions caused by the conflict are far from over. One often overlooked victim of this conflict is helium, a vital industrial input used in semiconductors, medical equipment, and other critical technologies. The disruption in helium production began when Iran's oil exports were severely impacted due to U.S. sanctions. As a result, many companies that rely on Iranian natural gas, which is used to produce helium, saw their supplies dwindle. This led to a shortage of helium in the global market, affecting various industries such as semiconductors and telecommunications. Nicholas Snyder, CEO of North American Helium, explained the significance of helium in modern technologies. If you think about semiconductors, fiber optics, or anything using superconducting magnets, the consequences of not having helium are gigantic in an economic sense. The U.S. is particularly vulnerable to a shortage of helium due to its reliance on imported gas. The Iranian government has taken steps to mitigate the effects of the conflict by restarting some production lines and increasing exports. However, it remains to be seen how long these efforts will last, and whether they will be enough to restore the global helium supply. The U.S. and Iran have agreed to revive their trade relationship under the New Deal, but the road to recovery will likely be long and complex. For now, the world's reliance on imported helium poses significant economic risks, and it remains to be seen how this crisis will unfold in the coming weeks and months. Following a surprise meeting with his top advisors, President Trump is reportedly discussing a proposal regarding Iran, sparking fresh uncertainty in global politics. The White House confirmed that U.S. officials are engaged in discussions with Iran regarding a proposed peace plan. According to reports, this conversation comes after 8 weeks of intense conflict between the two countries. The proposal itself has not been made public, but sources indicate it includes significant concessions from Tehran. Details of the plan remain scarce, but it's understood that any potential agreement would need to address several key issues. One major concern is preventing Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. This red line has long been a point of contention between Washington and Tehran. In a statement, White House officials emphasized that while they are engaged in discussions with Iran, certain conditions must be met before any deal can be considered viable. These conditions include preventing the proliferation of ballistic missiles capable of delivering nuclear warheads, as well as halting the development of long-range missile technology. The talks between the U.S. and Iran have been ongoing for several months, with various high-level officials engaging in dialogue. However, no concrete agreement has been reached yet. The Biden administration's approach to negotiations appears to be cautious, emphasizing a need for tangible concessions from all parties involved. The significance of these talks lies in their potential to de-escalate the current conflict and pave the way for a more lasting peace. Any breakthrough would also underscore the Biden administration's efforts to re-establish dialogue with Iran following the withdrawal of U.S. forces from the agreement with Iran in 2018. That's all for today's news recap. Thank you for joining us. For the latest on global affairs, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Stay up to date with the most critical stories from around the world. Our team will be back with more breaking news tomorrow. Until then, good night, and we'll see you in the next video.